You're listening to Truly Unruly with Marcus and Jessica Trotman. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Truly Unruly with Marcus and Jessica Trotman. My name is Kel. That's Marcus. That's Jessica. And today we have two very, very special guests. Everybody, let's give a round of applause for Dr. Carol Ann Trotman and Dr. Kia James. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Hey.
Thank you for coming on to the show. We have not one, but two.
Yeah, this is a
treat,
a special treat.
Two black doctors.
So just some background. Dr. Kia and Dr. Trotman of the Relationship Boosters are licensed therapists who help people improve their communication, intimacy, and connection and boost their sex life. They have been featured in magazines and on the radio to provide strategies that help people build stronger relationships. They have a busy private practice in Laurel, Maryland. Shout out to the Northeast. Years of experience and proven success in helping women and couples improve their relationships, let go of toxic communication patterns, and use strategies to improve their quality of life. They have 18 years of experience providing therapy and relationship coaching and have helped thousands of people get the life that they want and get the relationship they thought they could never have.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. Congratulations. Yes. So I guess I can't answer questions with, so just kill him or her as far as relationships. Okay.
Or we should just be ourselves and then just be coached by all the wonderful accolades that they have. So they got all types of stuff. And it was
I was talking about me though.
I know you're talking about you, but I heard stuff like the toxic and all that kind of stuff, and something about sex too. So I got questions about that too to make sure we keep that thing banging as we supposed to.
Of course he does.
Okay, so the first question I have is, doctors, we had an episode that we did a few weeks ago. We got an email from a gentleman that was dealing with his mind wandering off during sex. So we tried to give like the best advice that we possibly could, but honestly, I feel like we just kind of clowned the man for 40 minutes. So from you guys' professional standpoint, how does a person address that to their partner without feeling inadequate?
Oh, without themselves feeling inadequate, the individual,
them or their partner, because their partner may feel like, well, your mind's wandering off. Am I not good enough? Am I not doing something right?
Is it me? Right.
That'd be my first thought.
Yeah, is it me? Right.
Okay, so I feel like to start off, wandering off is not uncommon. It really depends on what's going on with the person, right? I think that sometimes if somebody's distracted by whatever might be going on at work, or if there are problems that might be happening in the relationship, or if they have a to-do list, or if they're spectatoring, like just really focused on like what's going on in the room versus what's going on between them or in their body, their minds can wander off to those thoughts and not be very present. So I would want to know, like, what are the thoughts wandering off to? Like, what are the other thoughts that they're having? And then, then have a conversation about that, because it might just be, taking care of whatever things need to be taken care of before going to the bedroom stuff. Or it might even be like they need to practice a little bit more anxiety type of coping skills, calming down skills, But it really depends. So I would want to know a little bit more about that particular individual, but there may be a couple of different approaches that would help that specific person.
Okay. Do you think it's more common for women, especially when you're mentioning the to-do list and this and that? And I would think that women are more likely to have those ruminating thoughts or those, the to-do list or whatnot. Do you agree, or do you think it's men that have those issues more often?
It's been seen to be women pretty often when it's coming down to like the the kind of being distracted with thoughts. But men also have it if there's a lot of responsibility on the line somewhere, like if there's something that they're worried about, or if they're having performance anxiety. Right. So the wandering off and the thoughts may depend on whether it's a man or a woman, but both of them do wander off. But yeah, the to-do list, the let me get this organized, I'm still thinking about going to cook dinner or take care of the baby or put the baby to bed, and the wind blew and you're ready to go. I'm not ready to go. Like
yeah. Exactly.
Okay, I see what's going on here, man. Yeah, already can hear it in the tone. So what I want to ask, or what I want to elaborate on a little bit, is where do you draw the line? And this can go for men and women, right? So you say there's a point of understanding, and then there could be a place of excuses, right? And I know that there has to be trust in a relationship. There's all this type of stuff, but
what are you even saying?
Well, are you talking about your to-do list?
What's
I got to go
point?
make dinner and all that. Sometimes if you're really into the sex or you're really into the intimacy, that can be overcome those type of things if you're really involved, right?
No, that's.
I'm asking the professionals. I'm not asking you.
Well, I'm
right
answering
now,
as
right?
a non-professional.
Right. So I'm saying, where do you draw the line? Right. But you guys can kind of hear what I'm saying, right? You guys understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, you're saying, like, when is it an excuse versus not? And the thing is like, many times when we work with people, it's not an excuse. The question is, what can you do to enhance the sex in the relationship so that each person can be focused? Or are there other things that need to be managed first so that the sex can go the way that you're hoping for it to go? Because there's a lot of women, if we're talking about women, a lot of women don't say anything. They will literally put it on the task to-do list and be like, let me hurry up and get this over with so I can go on and do what I got to do. So,
and many times y'all don't want that.
And the
I
men
got
say that
shit
they don't want
to do.
Yeah, man, I'm too good for that. I'm too proud for that. Huh?
I know. Well, I don't want it if it's like that. I'm like, you better take this because this is it. It's like you better finish your plate because.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, what are you guys' thoughts? And I think we talked about this last episode, and this was very interesting. But what are your thoughts on married couples going on separate vacations?
What they doing on a separate vacation?
Like guys' trips and girls' trips.
So in general, I mean, there's no. What's the problem with going on a guy's trip or a girl's trip, right? Like, in order for you to be in a good space, to be fully there for your partner, you do need to take care of yourself. And sometimes unwinding with your friends can help you do that. Now, if your friends are ratchet and they are not relationship focused, that's a whole different conversation, because you know that they don't have your best interest at heart when it comes to your relationship. They want you to act like you did in high school or college.
When you were single.
Right. And so now they want to put you in some crazy situation. And to be honest, for some people, I'm not trying to be funny, it would be beneficial for you to have problems in your relationship, because then you can come out more. So it depends on who your friends
that's
are.
Nasty.
Ooh.
And you got to choose wisely. Yeah.
Question. Can you define what a ratchet friend is? What are the qualities?
For those who may not understand.
For those who may not understand.
Yeah, we got some listeners that might not be up to speed. I get it. Yes.
Yeah. Inform the people who might not know what a ratchet friend is.
So if we're saying that you're married and now you're going with your single friends and they're encouraging you to engage in behaviors that would destroy your relationship, like, being intimate with other people, being all up, on other people, even sometimes, what are they? The nightclub action where I don't want to say sex party. What is the word?
Let me see what her head is at right now.
Like the swingers.
The Diddy joint.
I'm like the swingers.
The strippers come to the house and you having some kind of like inappropriate activities. So that would be
too much fun. Yeah,
extra
you're having too much fun. Yeah.
for the relationship. Yeah, no,
That's
that would totally be problematic. And I have seen or heard, like, just working with people, being in that situation and not feeling comfortable saying no or leaving because you're with your friends. Now you don't want you with your guy friends or your girlfriends to Mexico, and now they didn't had a stripper come to the house, and now people are engaging in intimate activities,
and they done recorded you. But go ahead.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, I get being uncomfortable, like with ratchet friends, but you need to be able to exercise some self-restraint, even with your ratchet friends.
Absolutely,
right?
But everybody doesn't have that willpower to do that, and that's the problem.
Oh my!
And everybody doesn't have the confidence to stand tall, especially when they're like, "Oh, your girl ain't gonna find out. Like, what's wrong with you?" You like they start talking to you in certain ways to kind of position you to feel uncomfortable with checking out. So it has to be a pretty strong person, which there are plenty of people that are strong, of course, right? To be able to be like, "No, I'm not doing that. That like this is wild. That's y'all do that. I'm out."
Yeah, y'all listen.
So
call me later.
And the other thing is, you know what friends you're going on vacation.
Oh yeah, man, I got strong restraint. You see how my face.
I have a pencil to his
throat.
Yeah,
face all the time. Yeah, I got strong restraint. Yeah, I'm good.
I was like, you better exercise that restraint.
Right. I guess this topic is this one of the, I guess, most talked about topics or the most requested type of help that you see your clients come to you with. It seems to be a pretty hot topic, right?
Sex, money.
Well, just the traveling and being uncomfortable, and with the phones and you got social media and all this kind of stuff. I would think it would be a pretty hot thing.
To be honest, I feel like a lot of people that are married and value the relationship don't put themselves in that kind of situation in the first place. So I would say more common is roommate kind of stuff that comes up than infidelity. Infidelity is not even the number one relationship problem. It's disconnection.
Yeah, roommate and just managing differences in certain expectations, but not necessarily.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense too.
Do you guys think that? And I mean, granted, the pandemic and the lockdown was now almost freaking 5 years ago. But do you think like the lockdown kind of like expedited that? Because it was after the lockdown, there was like hella people I knew that was like getting divorced. That I was like, oh shit, like y'all actually hung around each other for like a year. And you finally really got to know each other, and you realize you don't really like each other, and so you've become like you're living with a roommate that you don't like, but they pay rent.
I definitely think that the pandemic exposed the dysfunction that was going on in the relationship, and there were a lot of people that also used that exposure to lean in, and there were definitely people that used that exposure to separate and lean out. But I feel like the pandemic was very much like when people go through empty nesting or retirement, right? Where all of a sudden you're back to just dealing with that person, right? There's not a bunch of distractions. You're not getting up and going to work. Everybody's in the house.
Right.
You're seeing all the habits that you used to be able to escape because I'll just come home a little bit later. I'll spend, I'll just, all those things. Now you got to deal with the person on a daily basis with a bunch of restrictions as to where you can go and what you can do. And now you have to learn that person all over again. And we find that sometimes people think that they know each other until you have to have until there's a pause and you're like, oh, dang. I didn't know that changed about you, or I didn't realize, I don't like this new you. What happened? Like, what's the story?
Right.
That's tough. Yeah.
I think that's what
I agree.
So, and we had quite a few people who used that time to come into counseling to be like, listen, we got to get to know each other all over again. Like we have to address the problems that we've been putting off because we were able to put them off. So now we got to address them. So.
Yes.
Hey, Marcus, quick question for you, bro. Did you notice that at all with like a lot of athletes when they retire? Because I've heard about this. Like guys retire and then they're finally home more. And so like, their girls used to them maybe being home like 2 days a week because, they're off playing like and traveling for like, the
Right.
league. And then they're finally home and it's like, and they retired and it's like, oh shit, I don't know this person. And then a lot of them I've heard like a lot of athletes get divorced when guys retire. Do you know if there's any like truth to that you personally know?
There's a lot of truth to that. A lot of guys do get divorced. They go through all types of different mental and physical type of stuff after you're done playing. There's all types of science, of course, around that and stats. But it's really a lot of the stuff that you guys just talked about as far as coming home and just a whole new type of feeling. It's a different situation than they're used to. Of course, the guy that was playing is used to being away and being in the limelight and star and all this kind of stuff. And then you come home and you're not used to getting the kids ready for school. You're not used to doing all these things in between, and you may be stressed out by it, or you may not feel like you need to do that kind of stuff because it's not your job. It falls on the woman and all these gender roles. It's a bunch of stuff that comes into play. But yes, a lot of guys that I played with, a lot of guys that I know just from sports over time and just being done, when things change, and that, of course, that affects the relationship. So you have to make it a point, and you hope that you have that foundation already built and you're able to last and you're able to get through those kind of ups and downs and figuring out the new normal. But it's tough, man. It is definitely tough. I've seen it.
It is. But even when you retired, you know what? He really fucked up my schedule and like what I had developed. Yeah, I had a routine. I had a schedule. I did certain things. And at first, when he was retired, I wouldn't let him take the kids to school because that was my thing. That's how I got up and got myself out. And I was used to getting everybody out and then going to the store and then dropping some at daycare and doing all this kind of stuff. And that was tough. And kind of learning how to rebalance the roles and all that kind of stuff. But today, if I don't have to step foot near that school, you can take the kids all the time. But yeah, so you just got to navigate it, like you said.
And you got to have an open mind.
Come up with your new normal.
You definitely got to have an open mind as a man or a woman. It could go for a woman too, I guess, in any situation. But when you're coming into a situation like as the new party, you can't come in with a bunch of your own rules. I don't think so. And you got to be coachable, and you kind of got to adjust to what's going on. And I know you need to have stuff for yourself. Of course, I want to be comfortable too. And it started out with me. Of course, I would I just 100% in because I had missed so much time with the kids and all this kind of stuff. But then as things start to normalize, you kind of want to just find that balance. But you definitely want to be open, be comfortable with doing stuff that may not be seen as so much manly or what a star player should be doing at home. I like to, I like to fold clothes. I don't cook, but I will burn some shit up, man. I'll cook some.
I'd rather you cook.
I do some pancakes, some little eggs and stuff like that. But I grew up doing my own stuff too. I iron, I fold clothes, I do all that because I don't want nobody messing up my stuff. So I got to make sure all my stuff is on point.
I know he's only shrunk my stuff.
But what I'm saying is just be open, and it's about the compromise. It all comes down to the compromise and the communication. Right.
Yeah.
So, Docs, I actually had another question for you guys. From your experience and the folks that you deal with, and I assume do you guys deal with a lot of folks, particularly in our community, in the Black community?
Yeah, we definitely.
I was going to say, I hope so.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, their practice can be very diverse. It's Maryland. There's a lot of different people there. They could be canceling Amish people. We had a conversation about the Amish before this, but inside joke. But what from your experience, you guys' experience in our community? What would you say is the most common reason relationships fail? Because like you always hear the stereotypical things of like, oh, well, it's, it's usually finances, or it's infidelity, But like, are there other particular things, maybe just especially in the Black community, that you see?
Well, I think when people are talking about managing finances or infidelity, before it even gets to that point, there's somewhere along the line where there's some level of disconnection. And especially when we're talking about Black people, if you're not, if you haven't learned to be vulnerable or unlearned some of the strong person ways of being, then that can really interrupt your relationship and egos will rule. Right. And so really, and that will force the disconnection. So I would say in Black relationships, it is maybe not feeling comfortable enough being vulnerable and transparent and open. So that leads to the disconnection overall. And then all those other fights or lack of conversation and communication about the finances or what I might need sexually or what level of intimacy I'm not getting is that's definitely not happening because my ego is in it. Right. And I don't want to be weak.
Right.
And I would say the Black people are probably the most private group of people that we work with.
Yeah.
So that does with like the vulnerability and the transparency, just putting on a face. And to be honest, the world kind of encourages Black people to do that as well. Yeah. For you to stay in survival mode, for you to present a certain way, for it to be easy for you to present like everything is good when it's not. And so when you're used to doing that, how are you supposed to now say, I need help with something, or say that you're anxious or scared or embarrassed about something to your partner? So we do a lot of work around helping people to be more vulnerable in their relationships and be more transparent. So that's the biggest thing in the Black community that we see as an issue. And to be honest,
we never talk about that either. We never talk about that.
Yeah. And the vulnerability.
That's wild.
Yeah.
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 Because it would be a vulnerable conversation.
It's
right.
Right. It's almost like innate. It's like the not being vulnerable and showing your emotions. I know that goes back, right, through history. And so it's almost like it's kind of ingrained to feel that way. And then like our parents and all that kind of stuff. And you know what plays a really big part in that as well, I think, is trauma. And that shuts you down. And, when you've experienced, certain traumas and all that kind of stuff, it is harder to be vulnerable. And I don't know, it just kind of all ties in the Black community with kind of the lack of information about therapy and psychiatry and psychologists. It's so funny, I was just talking to my mom about a psychiatrist, and she was like, ooh, don't tell anybody that. And I'm like, oh, that's such an old school mentality. And that's why
I don't want nobody in our business and family business.
And that's why we're not vulnerable and we don't share these things because it's sometimes frowned upon. Like, why are you going to this? Why are you going to therapy? Why are you going to see? And it's like, because I need help.
Right.
Pray about it. You know what? Sometimes you have to be proactive as well. With our parents and, the older generation, those conversations needed to happen. So we could be in tune to all of these things, because a lot of understanding your emotions and your feelings is really understanding yourself.
Right.
And, just having some introspect and all of that kind of stuff. That's where you get to really understand your emotions. And you don't really know about any of that unless you talk about it and make it okay to experience these things and all of that kind of stuff. So,
and that's the thing. You got to normalize it. Trauma, being unhappy, being sad, being anxious, being scared is a normal thing, but everybody walks around like I'm perfect. Everything is solid. I'm good, but that is so far from the truth. So if you normalize it and you become especially men, right? And I know we're talking about the Black community, but men, of course, we don't want to show any sign of what some folks may call weakness, right? But you can only go as far as you're comfortable with. And if you're comfortable with being open and doing all this kind of stuff, I think it makes you a stronger man overall. You could be a better husband, father, because you can really understand yourself and you can understand.
You have to understand yourself
well, so.
to better understand others and how they move and their actions.
But we got to feel safe, though, especially talking with our women. And I know that's probably a big thing, too, not feeling like, all right, if I do come out and say this stuff, or if I open up, it's not going to be thrown in my face or it's not going to be used against me.
Do you think it's just our generation and further back that's like this? Because remember, these are some crying ass, emotional ass girls and boys. So, and all the in between.
I think it's good though.
Right,
I think the kids kind of got it together.
Pretty much, our daughters were playing something where this dude is pretty much cry rapping, and it's like all these feelings and emotions. And no, we grew up with.
It was different, yeah.
Yeah, we grew up with we will fuck you up, like all kinds of stuff.
Yep. So, and then we smile about it afterwards.
Right. Yeah. Little John, all that. Oh, please. We was fighting. We were not crying.
Dr. Carol Ann and Dr. Kia, that's back to what Marcus said. Like, he brings up a great point. Like, how does one create a safe space to open up and have that conversation with their partner? Like, how do you do it? Because I bet you there's a million people listening right now that are like, well, how do I even do that?
So I would say creating a safe space is a continuous thing, right? It takes practice. Number one, you got to really tune into why you're bringing up the conversation. First of all, right, at that particular,
know your audience.
You definitely need to know your audience, right? But why you're bringing up the conversation, and are you in the space to have this conversation right now, right? Because if you're extra heated, it might not be a good time. You might need to calm down a little bit before having whatever the conversation might be. That doesn't mean you don't ever address it or you put it off for weeks necessarily, but like take a moment, right, to figure out what it is, what your motive is. Next, you do need to know what's going on with the other person. Are you trying to have this conversation with this other person and there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on for them or in the background? You might want to set up the space, the mood, the situation so that it can be a welcoming conversation. And don't start the conversation with, we got to talk. That's like,
or the why.
That's like, you're like,
that's the universe.
Really?
Maybe later.
There's a problem.
Is that red flag word choice?
Say it again.
Is that red flag word choice to say like, yo, we got to talk? Because that just immediately, it's like, oh God, you assume it's something bad. So it's just like, you kind of like brace yourself like, all right.
Yeah,
like,
what did I do? Or what happened? Or what's going on? Right. And that's where people go, which now they're tense and they're barely listening because they're in their head like, da-da-da-da-da. And then if it is something where it's like, there's a complaint, which is something that everybody's going to have. You want people to know what you like and what you don't like, right? Because then everybody can move and grow towards having a stronger relationship. But if you're already like on guard for it, it just is going to make the conversation. So if there's a choice set of words to not use, that would be the choice set to not start with.
Okay, wait. So you don't start with, hey, we got to talk, or also do we throw in there? I know, right? But do we throw in there also like, hey, can I talk to you about something? Is that another one that like is triggering too?
Side eye with that.
Hey.
Right. Can I talk to you?
I think it's the tone too, right?
It's the tone, but even sometimes when it's like, hey, can I talk to you about something? It's like your boss, like, come over here. You do that one more time, you're fired.
Yeah. What do you say then? I guess what's a good example? Well,
you're trying to express something vulnerable, right? Or
like a complaint or something
Or
you
a
may need more
complaint
of or less
or-
of, or just some type of
Yeah, I would say start with the end in mind.
situation
Like,
that
what do
you're
you
not like.
actually want? So if you're saying, hey, I would like for us to be more intimate more regularly, is there any chance that we can try
Okay.
X, Y, and Z? Like insert what you want to, versus it being like,
How would that work on you, Jess? That'll work.
why aren't you giving me head more often? Like, what, when you start with the why,
Straight
start with
to
like
it.
the whole, like all of that, it just puts people on guard versus like, we're actually a team, we're working together.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not trying to come at you any kind of funny way.
Yes.
I just want us to be better and be on the same page. So that's like really thinking about, how can I set this up so we're both like able to have the conversation, not getting very angry, and can solve the problem or whatever the problem is. And I would say stay away from
Right.
contemptuous language, stay away from criticizing and defensiveness. Like those things are going to escalate the conflict.
Damn, I feel like I didn't realize after being married, you still got to use mouthpiece. Like you still gotta like, all right, let me like. I feel like it's my wife.
Yeah, let
I
me
can just, like,
massage
talk
it. Let
to
me
her.
massage it. Let me tiptoe
I
a
gotta
little bit
massage it.
before I really get there.
I like the whole we thing. Like, you know, we want to make sure our intimacy is on point, and then you can just slide in, since we're in the theme of we. Why don't we give head? Why don't we give enough head?
That's
put
fair.
we
I
in
feel
there.
like we as a collective
Right.
could be doing a little bit more, right?
We could suck a little bit more.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I think what I would add to what you were saying, Kel, is that it depends on the topic, right? Because if you already know,
Right.
like it might be a hot topic or something that somebody's insecure about, then you're gonna want to come in gently, right? You're not gonna want to come in
Right.
like putting a dig on something they're already really insecure about. But
right.
Yes.
But if it's not one of those and y'all are in a decent place, yeah, you might be like, now you know it's been like a week, right? So we
right.
and that's not taken
And you know what
a bad way, right?
Right. And then like for those conversations to try to avoid from coming in too hot and being just like, okay, that we need to talk type of energy, you might not want to let things fester for too long,
Absolutely.
right? Because if you do, the slightest thing is going to set you off, right? Yeah. And I'm asking for a friend, right?
You're just cracking me up because I know he'll be like, can I talk to you? And I'm like, oh, something has happened. I have done something or have not done something.
Right.
I already, Jess, let me talk to you for a sec. I'm like, I'm in trouble.
And I know me, and that's something I got to work on, right? I call myself a patient man, but if you sit on stuff for too long, I'm patient, but still at the same time, though, there's a way to get stuff off your chest and just not let things slide maybe that I may not approve of. And then after a while, I'm just like, the explosion, and that's not good for the communication and creating that safe place. So my professional advice would be try not to let things fester when you have these type of complaints.
Yeah,
definitely.
Because nobody can be heard.
Right. Yeah.
Resentment and all those other things, and then the ticking time bomb kind of situation. Absolutely. and going back to the practice.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, going back to the practice, sometimes that just takes a regular practice of just having conversations during the week, right? Like, let's do a check-in, let's do a temperature check. What's been going on? Anything happened this week that we should be touching bases on, right?
I like that. And it can even be scheduled, right? A scheduled check-in, or is that too?
No.
And I think that creates the safe space right there, is just talking on a regular basis. Right?
Reps. They getting shots up.
Reps. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Ooh, sports analogies. I'm not.
All the time.
Imagine that.
All the time.
What if, and just hear me out, guys. What if you have like a complaint box, or like not even necessarily like a complaint box, but it's like every week you maybe have like a meeting and then you have like something like that might have bothered you through the week, and you put it like in a note and you put it in a box, and then like every time you have your meeting, you kind of discuss like, oh hey, like all right, we got our list of complaints. Is that no terrible idea?
Do you get a prize if you draw like the right
well,
one?
No, I see some of these relationship
I'm
folks,
kidding.
Jess, like on like, but I see some of these relationship folks like on Instagram and stuff like that, and like, I mean, obviously it's very staged, but they'll have these things like, like me and my husband will take like notes, and we write notes about things that may bother us, and then we exchange them, and then
Why
we
the
both
voice?
sit
Don't
on
listen
them.
to the voice.
I said, Kel, by
Yeah,
the
no, you like
sound
the
of your
voice?
voice, that
It's
doesn't
my
sound
white
like
woman
something
voice.
we're
No,
into.
this is my white woman voice. Give me a break. This is my white woman voice. I'm trying, okay? But they'd be like, and then like we'll exchange it, and then maybe sit on it for a couple hours, read it, think about it, and then we come together and we meet and we discuss it. Like some people like have these weird exercises that they try to do, but I just feel like with Black folks, like we're not like that. But I'm just saying, is this something that we should start trying? Maybe like, would this work?
I feel like a complaint box feels like that meeting is a heated meeting. Like I'm going into the situation with you trying to say I did something wrong, like, and then we might just end up going toe to toe because why am I coming to you just complaining about all the things that you've done wrong every week? Like, if there's something you want different, then can you really focus on what you need and what you want versus prioritizing this is horrible, like that stuff adds up.
And it feels like a crock pot. It feels like people have time to
a crock pot.
That's a good point.
Just stew on it all week long. And I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this, and I'm getting all my points together for this complaint. And I don't know.
It's breeding negative energy.
Yes, it does.
Right. Yes. Yes, it can.
But, okay,
it can go all the way left.
But maybe call it an embetterment box instead of like a complaint box.
What is it?
Receipts, but like
receipts. All right, sorry. And I saw you didn't do the dishes and shit on Sunday night. And I was pissed off.
I would like you to make a complaint box and then check back in a few weeks and let us know how that goes.
I got a suggestion for it, though.
You're going to have me outside sleeping on the trampoline. Go ahead, Marcus.
Right. I got a suggestion. Anytime you do something like that on the negative, I think you got to have like the positive box too, right? All these beautiful things that I love about you, right? And you go back and forth and do it like that to kind of take the sting out of it a little bit. Because just like you said, if you come to something and I know it's all negative, but if it kind of created this thing and this is what we're doing and we shouldn't take it personal, even though I probably will anyway.
Oh my God, you would not handle that well.
Come into it with the right type of energy, knowing, okay, I know before I come in, these are things I got to work on. You might not come in as like defensive, but again, my suggestion is you got to have that good box on the one side too, to make it seem like, or make people feel like it's not all negative. Everything's not negative. If we just gonna talk about the stuff I don't like and separate and celebrate that, that's not how this thing is supposed to work. Because I know I bring some good stuff to the table.
First of all, you're not celebrating a complaint box.
Well,
second of all, I'm not looking at the stuff that I did right. I'm looking at that complaint box on Friday like, God damn, what's this week? And then I'm opening it and then I'm just getting pissed off because it's probably the same stuff.
But it'll make you feel better if I had some good stuff too. It'll make you feel better if I throw out some of the good stuff.
Okay,
first.
So you read,
and that's the massaging we was talking about earlier.
And then you turn around and then you read, but your hair is so pretty. It's like, no. Those people on IG put that complaint box, that woman put that complaint box, and then when they're done filming, they either whoop each other's ass or they go swing somewhere.
You avoid that by having a lovely box on the other side. Exactly my point.
I mean, the research says you need every one negative, you need 5 positives to outweigh that.
See what I'm saying?
So there has to be the balance on the positive, and it kind of goes back to what she was saying earlier. Like, you can get away with a lot more if y'all have a good relationship. I might be able to say something sarcastic. It's not going to cause us to have an argument or anything. But if we are running on the negative side, that sarcasm I'm coming for you. It's a whole
Right.
different energy. So there definitely has to be more positive than negative. That doesn't mean that you ignore things and don't bring stuff up, because you do need to address issues, but it shouldn't be like this whole, let's complain about each other kind of situation.
I got it. Wait, I got it.
Oh, no, Kel. Nope, not another
Stop.
IG one.
Jess, no, listen, no, Jess, let's hear me out. Because earlier we were talking about we, right? So what if we make it like a box of like what we can improve on as a couple? So like
that could be funny. Yeah, I like that.
This week, I think that we can improve on this. And then have another box that says, I think we did great at that, right? So you have the improvement. I'm not going to call it negative, but the box of improvement where we need to improve as a couple. And then you have the positive side of, well, I think we communicated well this week and we did this well this week. And do I got something?
I mean, it sounds good as long as we is not weaponized.
I'm like,
that's true. That's true. Damn.
I mean, I would have the box full every week. I would, anything
of my stuff.
I would be like, if we had a complaint box, anything, I'd be like, I didn't like the way you looked at me. Right. Complaint. Didn't like it. It would.
That's petty as fuck, though, Jess.
A complaint box is petty. What the? That could break somebody. That could break somebody.
And then the we part could get a little sketchy. It could be like, we need to pick up,
right? But you really
makeup in the bathroom because I didn't like having to come behind you and clean up and all that kind of stuff. But we know who it is. We still saying we.
I'm already defensive, so a complaint box just wouldn't work.
I think you definitely got to be in the right space, though, for the complaint box. Is petty. And if we both agree that we're not going to put the pettiest stuff in there, this is serious, though. You want to take it serious if you're going to do it.
I couldn't promise that. Sorry.
Well, I think it's about time for us to wrap it up. We're kind of getting a little over on time, but I wanted to thank Dr. Kia and Dr. Carol Ann for joining us. Can you let the folks know where they can find you guys at?
You can find us at the Relationship Boosters or at relationship_boosters on Instagram. And our website is the Relationship Boosters, or you can go to blackmarriageweek.com because that's our other brand where we focus on helping Black couples have thriving relationships through retreats and our events.
And do you guys have any events coming up soon? Because we do have a lot of listeners that are on the East Coast and that are up in you guys' area. So do you guys have any events that's coming up that folks need to hear about or anything like that?
The one that our Black Marriage Week is every year. We just had it at the end of March, but we're prepping for this year. So the wait list is open. That's at blackmarriageweek.com.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. We're about to drop the dates for we do have a May event coming up, which is going to be mental health and relationships that we're going to be doing locally. And so we just want mental health and Black relationships. Sorry. So we're going to be dropping that date in May, which we know is right around the corner, like a couple weeks away, but we wanted to make sure that we had a good enough location before we dropped it.
Cool. And we'll definitely have all that in the show notes. So where folks will know where to find you guys and follow you guys on all things social. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys so much.
This was such a good time.
This is a good
show. Absolutely. Truly Unruly, y'all, with Marcus Trufant, Jessica Trufant. My name is Kale. You can follow us on all things social at trulyunruly_podcast. If you want us to answer any of your questions, also, you can email us at trulyunrulypodcast@gmail.com. Listen to us on your favorite podcasting platform. Please leave a like, a review, and subscribe. That helps us out a lot. And you can catch the visual on YouTube and catch us every Sunday on Converge. Boom. I think that's it. Till next time, y'all. Peace and much love.